evening. Welcome to the Menomonee Falls Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order for Wednesday, July 17th, 2024 at 6 o'clock p.m. First, we're going to go into roll call. I'll start. I'm Nicole Barker, President.
Tom Ewig, Trustee.
John Soper, Board Member.
David Munoz, Board Member.
Carol McGivney, Board Member.
Ellen Rohr, Business Manager.
Jacqueline Romer, Library Director.
All right. Next, we'll go into public comments. The Library Board of Trustees will hold a public comment period for the purpose of allowing the non-appointed public the opportunity to address the board regarding any matter that involves the library or matters over which the Library Board of Trustees has authority to take. The public comment session shall last no longer than 15 minutes, and individual presentations are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. These time limits may be extended at the discretion of the board president. Library board members shall not respond to or debate matters raised during public comments. Public comment should be addressed to the library board as a body. Any questions or comments posed to an individual member of the library board will be deemed out of order by the board president. Presentations shall not deal in personalities or personal attacks on members of the board, the applicant for any project, library employees, or residents of the village of Menomonee Falls. No campaigning for political office is allowed during the comment period. Comments, questions, and concerns shall be presented in a respectful and professional manner. Any individual violating these expectations will be deemed out of order by the board president. And since we have nobody here, I'm going to assume we have nobody that wants to talk. Next, we have the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda will be approved in one motion unless any board member requests that an item be removed for individual discussion. That item can be considered at an appropriate time during the board's regular order of business or under new business. So first, we have the approval of the minutes of the last regular board meeting, and then the bill approval for June of 2024 in the total amount of $49,918.15.
Point of order. I do have questions, but I don't know if they're questions relevant to the approval of it or not. So I don't quite know whether we should open it up for discussion or
Yep,
if
I'll
I
open
should
it up.
hold it till later on the
I think if we
expenditures,
get a motion and it's seconded, then we can discuss before it all.
Yep.
Yep.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just had a question about the summary of disbursements and wanted to know if moving forward, these could be categorized as well by which fund, so I could see all of what's being expended in just operations instead of having to go through 4 different pages and trying to piece together what that is. It's just to me that I don't know if we could do that or why it was put in this particular order. That would just be something I'd like if we could do it that way moving forward. It should be easier to just to read and review.
Is that something that you would be able to do?
Sure, I can do that.
So a separate for Fund 220 and a separate for Fund 221?
Just hit like sort by, and then so we see all the Fund 220s together, and then we'll see a section in the report where all the 221s are together, so we can just see what were the operational expenditures and what were the then what were the buildings, I guess, then what were the general fund expenditures, and that way it just made a little bit more sense for me to review.
What do you guys think about that? Do you prefer having it sorted by vendor, or would you like having it sorted by Fund 220 listed first and then Fund 221 listed second, with the possibility that there may be one vendor used duplicated?
Yeah. So there may be.
Is there just a way to keep it kind of the same format, but just separate, like have the first 3 sheets for Fund 220 and then, the rest of it for 221? Can you separate it that way?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like all SCO would be grouped together with, just
221.
back here. Yeah,
Yeah.
with merit, and it would be nice to kind of see all of the operational ones and Solomon supplies together, so you can kind of see what it is we're popping out each month just for operations and what we're popping out for general fund stuff.
Yeah, I'm indifferent about it. I'm fine with however you sort it.
I agree. Whatever's most easy for everybody. I'm fine with that.
Do we need a formal vote on that? Okay.
Motion and a second.
Yep. All right, so I need, all those in favor of approving the minutes of the last regular board meeting and the bill approval for June 2024 and the total amount of $49,918.15, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed. Next, we have the committee reports. First is the Policy Review Committee. So since we didn't get to the 2 items last month, we decided to table them and we are bringing them back this month. So I'm going to give the floor to Jackie to go over those.
Okay.
We have to
Oh,
take
we,
them off
yeah,
the table.
sorry, we do have to have a motion to remove the table.
Motion to remove the item, to remove the policy items from table for discussion today then.
Second? Sorry.
No worries.
All in
Second.
favor of moving the items from table to discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
All right, so we have I have in front of you the current patron privacy policy and then the updated patron privacy policy that was recommended for approval by the Policy Review Committee. And you'll see the changes that we have are, we merged the privacy statement with the definitions portion, so that's not much of a change at all. We also reformatted the library records section for clarity. Under other records, we added the clause regarding emails sent to the library or library staff, and those not being made public without a request that would follow public records law. We included a section regarding access to children's records and clarity on fiscal responsibility for who is responsible for items checked out on children's accounts. And then we also included a section about our use of RFID to allow for use of the self-checkouts. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I just had a question because you added that one about responsibility fiscally. Parents are responsible until they're 18, but you can't tell them what's in it after they're 16.
Correct.
Is there a way for a parent to remove the authority of that account? I mean, can they say, well, then my child doesn't get an account as long as I'm responsible for it, he doesn't get it?
Yes. Because the parent has financial responsibility until the child turns 18, they have full control over that account. They just do not have the ability to know what the child has checked out after.
Right,
once
I
they're
think
16.
the only issue is in a situation like this, is obviously there's some problem.
Mhm.
And so would the parent be able to say, well, then they don't get an account
Yes.
because I know they'll run a bill up and all
Yes.
this stuff? Okay.
Mhm.
The only other thing I would recommend for revision purposes on page 2, under other records, the third bullet has a double N. Is that on purpose or was that something that was a mistake?
It's on page 3.
Registrations of our participation in library classes and programs. I didn't know if in
Oh,
library
that,
or if that was a redundant.
no, that
thing.
was actually just a typo.
Oh, okay. Then I just thought we should remove it.
Thank you.
Is there any, other one was, is there any liability that limits, is there anything that limits our liability should we accidentally delete some information that, So like somebody says, well, I want the information for this, and whoops. And then we get sued for dumping something accidentally. Is there any
So we-
protection up for us if we accidentally dispose of something we shouldn't have?
We do follow the records retention schedule for libraries for the state of Wisconsin, so we shouldn't.
Okay.
I don't know, I suppose from a database level, there could be something that may happen, but that would be at the Bridges system level, not our level. In terms of liability,
So it's not an issue.
it hasn't been. Hopefully it doesn't become one, but I don't think that, we have any real concerns there.
Can I get a motion to approve and a second, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the policy 2.05 pager policy.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion to approve in a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the patron privacy policy number 2.05, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, then we have, I get a motion to remove from the table the motion related to policy 3.06 meeting spaces.
Motion to remove from the table policy 3.06 on meeting spaces.
Second?
All right, I got a motion to approve in a second, or I got a motion and a second. All in favor of removing the table from the motion related to policy 3.06 meeting spaces, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. All right. I know I'm getting a little bit of feedback.
Okay, so for the meeting spaces policy, we have a few changes. You see the draft one in front of you and then the current one. We clarified and added the priority of use as to who receives top priority for use of the space. Obviously, that's library or library affiliate groups. Then we go to Village of Menomonee Falls events such as voting, government entities, then community groups, nonprofit organizations, or for-profit agencies. So any other group is welcome to use the space. So we added that. We also created a chart with allowable use and prohibited use. There's a lot going on, so we felt that the chart format would be really beneficial for clarification purposes. We also removed campaigning for public office as a prohibited use of the space. That was something that had been grandfathered into the policy for many years, and we never really looked into it very closely, but best practices based on American Library Association guidance is to allow campaigning for public office. We are a government building. So we removed that. We included a requirement for anyone reserving the space to have a library or resource card. As we continue to put technology in our meeting spaces, in order to get trained on that technology to use it, you do have to have a library or a resource card in order to access it. For instance, in the children's program room, we're adding an Aquas board that's going to allow patrons to log in with their library card to get access to the screen to be used. So we wanted to include that. That is something that many other libraries include in their meeting space policy. And we felt that it would also help with an accurate reflection when we're looking at how many card holders we have as to how many people are using the library. We added a few facilities regulations and points of clarification regarding the expectations of the use of the space, making sure people are putting their chairs back, making sure, that they are not blocking doorways and that they themselves are following ADA compliance as well, so that they're not, blocking doors or certain things like that that wouldn't be ADA accessible. We added clarification about food that's allowed in meeting spaces. Previously, we had a lot of talk about beverages, but not about food. We also added specific wording that would be required on any advertisements for non-library events held in meeting spaces. That essentially says, I can actually read it to you. Permission to use a library space does not imply library endorsement of the aims, views, policies, or activities of any group or organization. And we also added a clause that we may charge the applicant for the space if the space is damaged or left in such a condition that custodial service is required, beyond the regular custodial service, of course.
I found two things.
Okay.
That I think I just need some clarity on. So the allowable and prohibited use on page 1. I read that, it seems like, to me, was very confusing that those first two lines sort of contradicted each other, and so it didn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it says all programs must be free and open to the public. Meetings with a restricted invitation list may be held in library meeting spaces.
So a program versus a meeting is a distinction there.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
A piece on that, just more a formatting thing. The asterisk portion, I think just when it was being formatted, should be on the bottom of that
Yeah.
page, just to make sure that there's.
It's just a grammatical suggestion on the meeting space facilities regulations, the very last bullet where it says the library may impose additional reasonable conditions, yada, 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 all the way to the end. It says may require a space user. I think the vocabulary you were using in the rest of it is applicant or group. I would just change the word space user words to either to match what you're using in the rest of the statements.
Certainly. Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
That's
Thank
very
you.
small, I apologize.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, really, truly.
And then on appeals, it doesn't say how quickly you have to tell them they're denied. Is that spelled out somewhere else? So when they turn in their app, you can deny them, but it doesn't say how long they have to wait to get an approval or a denial. Would it be appropriate to put in that amount of time?
So there's 2 staff members who handle the meeting room reservations at the library and have the ability to approve and deny meeting spaces. It's Ellen and myself. So I agree that we should certainly respond to them within a reasonable time frame. However, what if there's a situation where it's 4 days instead of 3 days? Then we,
Well, yeah, it's
you know what
just
I mean?
5 days enough? Is 4 days enough?
Give you guys 10 days to respond. Would
Because,
that be?
and my concern is from a person who applies and then they're denied. I only have 30 days to appeal it, but it's 30 days plus however long it took you or you to get back to me to say I was denied. I just thought, so they should probably have a specific so they can gauge better if it's worth appealing or not.
I suppose,
I don't know.
on the flip side, if they're not organized and planning well enough in advance when booking the space, then an emergency on their part does not cause it to be an emergency on our part. So, I mean,
Within a,
I understand where you're saying, within a week, but there are extenuating circumstances. What if, they're unable to get to it within 10 days? I mean, you could put in a line here that says in a timely manner, and that would be a catch-all if you wanted to do something like that. But I don't know if I'd want to see you having to lay out a strict amount of time. I mean, they have 30 days once they're denied, but if they're applying 31 days before their event, then that's on them and they have to
Well,
get
but
their
if they
field.
know it's gonna take 10 days, then I have to put it in 40 days ahead of time. Right now, I don't know how many days I have to put it in ahead of time. I know I have to do it at least 30, but I don't know if I have to do it 40, 50 days in order to make sure that my denial that I would have time. Again, worst case scenario, I just thought it might be wise to put a limit of about a week, if you think that's sufficient to get back. I don't know.
I think that's very sufficient. I mean, typically, we respond within, if not the same day, within 2 days. I don't think that there's really ever been a situation where it's been longer than that.
The only time it might have been is if she was on vacation and I couldn't make a decision.
Right.
And I guess to another degree, what's stopping them from asking? Right? I mean, you know, I'm wanting to use a space. I come to Jackie and I say, hey, Jackie, I'm thinking about planning an event. If I put in an application, typically how long is the turnaround? You know, 3 to 5 business days or whatever your response is, then I'm being proactive. Again, I get where you're coming from, but the person organizing the event has to be on the ball and doing what they're supposed to be doing in that standpoint. So if they're not willing to ask the question whenever they get back to them, I mean, again, you could put in a phrase in a timely manner, but I don't know if it's worth putting in that strict of a timeline when it's typically 2 days. Well, then just say within a timely manner, and then they can ask, well, what's a timely manner? 2 to 3 days, a week, 7, whatever it is.
I don't have
But
a
that
problem
gives
with
them,
that. I don't have a problem with that. I just think we
Yeah.
should probably put something that will
yeah, just
provide a limiting factor, but that's fine with me.
We
I don't
can
know,
probably,
though.
like,
We weren't really supposed to go through it this way, so I don't know. 'Cause that makes it harder to.
I mean, I guess we could put in there, like, typically, approvals or denials are,
I'd be comfortable with saying within a week barring extenuating circumstances.
right, you have to have
because-
something in there
yes,
just in
so
case.
I mean, we should get to it within a week, unless something absolutely wild is happening. That would be a genuine extenuating circumstance. So I'd be happy to put within a week barring extenuating circumstances.
Yeah,
And if that's the case, we probably would have backup plans figured out anyway for someone else to do it, but.
but you never know, stuff
yeah.
happens. People get sick, have surgery, go on vacation.
Yeah. All right, so I'd be happy to change it to within a week barring extenuating circumstances. If that sounds good to everybody?
That sounds good.
And if guidelines are followed, then we don't usually deny anyway, so.
Right. If they read the policy.
Right.
Well, and that was one of my questions, is it says here, would you present to us a list of those things? And I'm like, do we really want to see a monthly presentation of apps approved and denied each meeting? I don't know, maybe throw it in the minutes, throw it in your report. I don't know if it seemed like it was required.
I'm not following.
It sounded like it was required that you keep records maintained according to the law based on approved and denied apps for meeting spaces. So
Yeah, we keep that with our reservation software.
I'm not sure we really need to see that, but if that was something we needed to, I was gonna suggest just throwing it in here.
Well, the library has to
Records.
for record-keeping purposes,
Yeah.
but we don't have to see it.
I'm sure if we requested it, we could see it. But
Sure. I'm interested.
Right. All right, so I need a motion and a second to discuss and consider for approval policy 3.06 for meeting spaces.
This motion to approve policy 3.06.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the policy 3.06 for meeting spaces as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Let's see, then we got the Special Events Outreach and Fundraising Committee, which I don't believe has met, right? No. So on to new business. We are going to discuss and consider for approval the purchase of library shirts for all staff members at a cost not to exceed $775.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Absolutely. So Tom, what was your idea about where that money was coming from?
My idea with that was on the money that we saved on the building project would help to fund the t-shirts, because Jackie and Ellen did a wonderful job of essentially saving us a ton of money.
Right.
And so with that, I figured we could split off a small piece and pay for these t-shirts with those funds.
So I have another idea.
Go ahead.
So my thought, back in the day when I was a secretary, we got what was called a sunshine fund. And what I'd really like to see, my suggestion would be a line on our budget that would be discretionary for the board to do nice things for our staff.
Staff appreciation.
I asked my husband, and he said, well, maybe they don't want shirts. Maybe they'd like a $10 gift certificate to Latitude. So there are other things that our staff might appreciate. So that was one thing that could be part of that discretionary line. The staff breakfast, for example, we all footed that bill for May. That could come out of that discretionary line too. Funerals, when like Ellen's mom passed away, we could have that come out of the discretionary fund. Welcome gifts for new board members would also be able to come out of that line. So rather than kind of saying, well, let's take this money for this, let's create a line, have money in it that we can satisfy all those things that might come up during the course of a year. I don't know how that, again, I don't know how that actually happens, but that would be my thought rather than just paying for those t-shirts at one time. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm fine with whatever, but I'll take this in a little bit different direction.
Yeah.
Is there a, meaning, certainly, I agree with the shirts being purchased in both of these lines. I will vote yes for whatever and wherever the money comes from, even if it's donations from us, whatever. So, is there a way that we can establish a protocol where if it's not to exceed $5,000 that you just make the decision? You can report it to us in your report. I mean, I'm comfortable with that. Meaning,
Is it a gift from the board though, or is it a gift from the library? So that's what I wasn't clear.
That's a good point, I think, that we needed to discern from, right? I think, like the shirts, I think would be a really nice gift from, well, it's coming from the library fund though. So
Correct.
I guess in the end of the day, it's coming from the library. We're not the ones putting the bill, but we're the ones approving it. So I think,
that's kind of my
Yeah.
point. So if it's, you know, I don't have any problem authorizing every year not to exceed $5,000, and the library director reports to us in her report and the spending of that.
Sure.
I mean, you see what I mean?
I absolutely do.
are you thinking we just allocate, $5,000 a year and say?
I made that number up.
I know, I'm just,
That's a lot.
I'm using your number just,
Yeah.
are we thinking like at the beginning of the fiscal year, we allocate whatever that number is not to exceed,
Yeah.
and we go up as time goes on with inflation or whatever.
So
Would
are
that be
we
kind of
trying
what that
to
would
make
be?
a motion to have Jackie make a,
So here's what we can do.
because this is a separate motion from.
Sorry,
Yeah.
totally. Well, it might be, I mean, it is. It may have come to a future meeting. I mean, we're in discussion.
There's some HR considerations.
So here's what we can do.
Oh, okay.
So from right now, if you were to make the motion to approve the staff shirts and or the volunteer shirts, that would come out of a budget line for staff recruitment and retention, recruitment and personnel. And so that would come out of our budget line. So at the end of the year, that line would appear as if we spent too much out of that budget line. However, we saved about $20,000 with the computers, and then we saved a lot in other budget lines as well. So it would appear as if we overspent, however, we did not. In 2025, as we build 2025's budget, then I feel would be the best time to add an additional budget line for this staff recognition, you know, or add more money to the.
Yeah, I knew I was going a
Yeah.
different direction than what's listed in A and B. And I'm gonna vote yes for both A and both B. I just wanna be clear about that. My vote is yes for this and yes for this, 100%. I'm just trying to simplify processes.
Yes.
For the director in the future.
Yeah.
If we can consider that, you know, to, you know, obviously inform us, and we can be part of maybe a yearly approval of similar things like this, like was mentioned,
Something from the
Like the
committee.
breakfast.
like other things, and I'm happy to.
Right, so as you're building and approving the budget for next year, we'll recommend a certain dollar amount, and it will be for staff t-shirts, staff
Right.
breakfast, such and such, and that will be already approved in the budget, so therefore I will have the authority to make that purchase.
Right.
If that's already approved within the
Yeah,
budget.
So those are already approved dollars, yeah?
Yeah,
So do we have a motion yet for 6A or not?
I think we have a
Yes.
motion for 6A.
We're in discussion right now
We're in
on 6A.
discussion. Did I answer your question, by the way?
Well, so it's kind of nice that a card for someone who passes comes from the board. It's kind of nice that the breakfast thing comes from the board. But are you determining then, is it a library thing, or is it still from the board that we're doing special things? How does that appear in that 2025 line then? Does that make sense?
I think that might be for future discussion.
Okay.
I think just focusing on the t-shirt portion, because I like where you're going with that, because I think between the two of you, I think that's a really good thing, but I don't think that's the same motion.
I just don't want to lose the fact that it's the board that also cares about the staff and wants to acknowledge them as part of the library, but as a board separately. Does that make sense?
We can certainly keep the line item here.
Absolutely.
I'm just looking to streamline, and if that's the desire of the board, or we could leave it like this.
So then we could we put that then as a line item in our budget for
Yes.
next year?
yes.
Yes,
I-
that's what I meant.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, but you want it to be like it's from the board, and that's gonna require, I think, a little more discussion on how that can be structured in order for that happen. And you had started to mention something about HR. It would be good for the board to know what we can and cannot do as it relates to giving things to staff members out of the general budget.
Gift cards should not be given
Well,
out to staff.
regardless, I mean, there are limits to what we can offer and ways that we can do it that it might be more viable for us to use the Friends to approach that kind of an aspect than it would be to take it out of the general fund. But that's where
So
your
using-
expertise on it, you need to let us know what we can and cannot do fiscally like that.
So the school district is very similar. We can't do gift cards at public dollars, so it's the same as you. But if somebody privately gives a gift card, that's totally different. So, you know, so like for example, when the board was giving private dollars, which I know we all happily did to do the breakfast, we could have also given gift cards if there was leftover money, because that was private money in that situation. But I do, the point about the gift cards, I mean, I get where you're going.
Or we could go back the way we've done it already, and that's to collect private funds for the breakfast and private funds for funerals and things like that. We could also just maintain it the way we've done it before. Wasn't sure if it could be a line that we wouldn't have to worry about collecting, or if we could just continue as we've done it before. Either way.
Like the is
We can bring forward some different varieties for the budget proposal so that you have a few different options.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Did anyone have any, I have a question actually about the shirts. Did we get an amount of what it would cost?
Yes, so it's a little under $775.
Okay.
The shipping was only like $10, which is great for all those shirts. So it ended up being a huge save with that. And then depending on the amount of current volunteers we have about the same amount of regular volunteers as we do staff, which is awesome. So it's about 775, a little bit less probably.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. All those in favor of approving the purchase of library shirts for all staff members at a cost not to exceed $775, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next is discuss and consider for approval the purchase of library shirts for regular volunteers at a cost not to exceed $775.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The only thing I wanted clarification on is the word regular.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have it defined somewhere?
So our regular volunteers are those who repeatedly come back. They do our home deliveries. They come every day to do our pick list. You know, we have a group of regular volunteers. We have a sheet of regular volunteers, and then those who volunteer maybe once a year for a special event. So this would be for the regular volunteers who are at least monthly doing something for the library.
I would, just in general, not saying that this is going to be approved, I would just say define the word regular
Yeah.
somewhere, only because somebody that does it every year, well, they might consider themselves regular
Mhm.
because they do it once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Versus you're saying, regular is at least once a month.
Yeah, if not
volunteering.
a week,
And,
yeah.
and once, whatever
Now
your
I
metric
feel
is, I
bad,
don't
yeah.
care. I just want to know that you have the word regular defined somewhere, so that way if somebody asks, you're not like, well, it's
Yeah.
like, no, regular is this.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I will work with our volunteer coordinator to get some language for that.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. All in favor of approving the purchase of library shirts for regular volunteers at a cost not to exceed $775, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next, we have nominations for the Library Board Office of President for the term July 2024 to July 2025.
I nominate Nicole Barker.
Second.
All right. Any other nominations? And
You already accepted.
yes. All right, then we move into the election for the Library Board Office of President for the term July 2024 to July 2025. All in favor of approving Nicole Barker for Office of President for the term of July 2024 to July 2025, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Next, we have the nominations for the Library Board Office of Secretary Treasurer for the term July 2024 to July 2025. We have Tom Ewig as the nomination from last month.
I nominate Tom.
A second.
I accept.
Anyone else want to nominate anyone? All right. All in favor of approving Tom Ewig for Secretary Treasurer for the term July 2024 to July 2025, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And congratulations on the new house.
Thank you.
In the village, no.
Yes.
Next, we have discuss and consider for approval regular library board meeting dates for 2024 and 25.
I did not pass those out.
Oh, okay, so they stay the same. So it would be the same night, same time. There are a few that I just wanted to touch base with you on. So for I'm working with the village head of finance to figure out when our deadline for our board approved budget request, when that needs to be at the village. So our regular meeting date would be August 21st. We may need to meet the 28th, depending, but I have not heard yet on when we need to have that done. So what we're looking at this point is probably if we cannot get it approved on the 21st or in September on our regular meeting on the 18th, we may need to have a special meeting, but I haven't heard back on when the deadline is yet. So I'll be in touch with you. I don't think that we need to make any decisions tonight because I don't know when it's going to be due yet. The only other question was, so our annual report is always due to the state in February. I believe this year we moved the meeting to 1 week later to the so it would be February 26th of 2025, so that we can have more time to finalize the report. So it would be 1 week later instead of February 19th.
That one moves to the 26th, you said?
Yep, if that works for you. If not, we can make it work. It's a little tight, but
I don't know, I
Just
have to
adjust
look
it.
at
Sure.
them and look at my schedules, but I don't have
I
any
don't see an
objections to
issue
why you're
with
doing
it.
it, sounds appropriate.
Yeah.
Motion to approve as presented.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the regular library board meeting dates for 2024 and 25, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Little follow-up on, is there, that's on the website somewhere, or is there?
yes, and
you can send it
I'll
out?
email it out to you as
Thank you.
well.
Just want to give it to my secretary so that
Just
she can
remember
lock
the
it.
third Wednesday of every month. I literally go down the calendar and count.
I'll send you the list.
Yeah, no, I have a new assistant, so I just want to make sure it gets all squared away. She's doing great.
Next we have the trustee education, chapter 2, who runs the library?
So we also included in your packet a document from Bridges Library System that talks, it's really great. It really hammers out the roles of who runs the library, the governance, and then what the responsibilities of the library board are, what the role of the president is, advocacy and bylaws, which you are all aware of at this point. And then the chapter about who runs the library goes through the responsibilities of the library board. You have exclusive control of the expenditures. You have exclusive control of the lands, buildings, money, or property acquired or leased by the municipality for library purposes, supervising the administration of the library, and then prescribing the duties and compensation of all library employees. And then it dives into the responsibilities of the library director. So having oversight over the library budget, managing the collections, hiring, training, supervising, and scheduling personnel, supervising circulation of material, working with the board, working with community officials and groups in planning library services, and also, my favorite part, supervising the maintenance of the facilities and the equipment. And then it talks about the division of labor between the library board and the director and how we work together effectively. And I find that to be, a really good, it's an interesting balancing act. It's a delicate balancing act at times, but I think this board has a really good understanding of it. And if there's ever any questions, you can reach out to me at any time. And then there's a section about what are the responsibilities of municipal government. And it talks about a lot about the finances, a lot about the municipality's role in the finances. The village acts as our fiscal agent for a variety of purposes. We go through auditing with them each year, and they're very, very helpful with developing and balancing the budget each year as well. Are there any questions from that chapter?
I've always got a question.
I'm finding that out about you, John.
I've always got at least one.
We like questions in libraries. It's what we do.
So it says we should trust the judgment of the director when it comes to which books to purchase because it's spelled out in our policy. So I apologize, I haven't read all of that, I don't know. But how do you determine the books to select? What sources assist you with book purchase? And does Bridges infringe on some of the autonomy that you have in order to select books? You don't have to answer all that right now, just things that popped into my head real quick.
Sure. So our collection development policy actually outlines the selection process. So what our librarians do when they are looking at purchasing materials. We rely heavily on professional publications and journals and reviews from those, such as School Library Journal, Kirkus Reviews, Publishers Weekly. We subscribe to all of those so that our staff are able to read those and be well informed. A lot of it is also having a good pulse on what the community needs and wants. And we also take into consideration purchase requests as well. We have a form on our website where if someone thinks that they would like a book or other material added to our collection, they're welcome to submit a purchase request, and then it goes to the librarian who handles that collection. Bridges does not have any oversight over what is in our collection at all, so we are pretty autonomous with that.
Great.
They just tell us what our minimum.
Yeah, they tell us how much we have to spend, but they don't tell us what we have to spend it on in terms of the collection.
Okay. Then it says that expenditures report each month should also include on it, according to this, how much is left in the budget
It does.
on there?
Not on the expenditure, but on the other form. Second form,
It's this one, right?
Yep.
on the bottom, it'll tell you.
Oh, I don't have that, I'm sorry. I didn't get that. Did that get passed out
You should have.
just now? Did it just get passed out?
No.
It was sent out
Okay.
with it should have been sent
Yeah, I
in
didn't
the
see it.
email with
I didn't see it, so that's why my question was asked. I didn't see that.
Yeah, that gives you a good
I didn't see that
overview
one.
of,
Did you want to look at mine?
Not really, I was just curious why I didn't get it if I was supposed to, that's all.
yeah,
That's all.
there's two different reports that you get each month. The one that we discussed before, and then that one which lets you know how our budget status is for
Yeah,
each.
and
of
it
the
comes with our
categories.
agenda for.
Yeah, I printed out everything. That one, either my machine didn't print it or I hit the buttons wrong. I didn't see it,
It's
so
a
I
second
apologize.
attachment.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it's there. I just didn't see it. That's why I asked the question is all. So anyway, appreciate it. Thank you.
Mhm. Anything else? All right.
All right, next is Library Board President's reports. I have nothing to report other than, thank you guys. I'm happy to be president again. I have had a lot of fun this last year, and I look forward to another year of having fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking it.
Thanks.
Next is a coffee shop update.
All right. So, great news. The rough plumbing and the electrical passed the initial inspection. So now Latitude Cafe is in there, hard at work, readying the space. They've been working on building and installing their countertops. There's going to be some additional inspections needed once the final plumbing and electrical work is done. But I will tell you, the levies work very fast, and they're doing a great job. The library staff are really hard at work as well. We are preparing for the grand opening of Latitude. We're working with the levies on plans for the ribbon cutting, plans for the grand opening, and we're also developing anticipation and hype marketing just to get people excited about the coffee shop, to get it on their radar in case they haven't heard about it. And we're really hopeful that things continue to move forward quickly and the coffee shop will be open soon, but I don't have a date at this time as to when the grand opening will be. But as we get closer, I'm sure we'll get a date on the calendar and we'll let everybody know. We're ready to go with marketing, so when we find out that date, everyone's gonna know. We will share it far and wide.
Yeah, it's a nice signage out front, talking about it's coming soon, out at the front banner over there, so.
Something really kind of special happened. If you notice in the lobby, we have a new sign that says what's on the second floor. It's a hanging sign. It says that the adult and teen library is upstairs, the Forge, and the local history room's upstairs. There's also space for us to hang up that Latitude Cafe is upstairs. The Levies generously donated that entire sign to us, to the library.
What?
So yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to
Yeah, they're pretty great.
continuing this partnership. So
Just because I have a wedding occurring at the end of August, are we thinking within the next 4 to 6 weeks?
in my head, I've been saying end of August as to if I had to put a date on it, it would be end of August.
If it's the end of August, I can't guarantee I can be available as I'll be at a wedding, but
Okay.
my son's wedding, yeah. Anyway.
Kind of important, right?
Yeah, I gotta go to that one, so.
Getting one married off, congratulations.
2, I had one
Second
2
one.
weeks ago, so yeah.
No guarantees, but that's just what I've kind of been
Okay.
having in my head as an opening date. So we'll see. Might be early September.
That's a great time. Weather starts to change
Yep.
all of a sudden.
Everybody wants the warm drinks. Yeah,
betcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's right after Labor Day.
Is there any, like, have you started thinking of like any
Starts.
Halloween themed things you might be able to couple with to get a little more traction for the coffee shop, anything like that?
Yeah, we've been brainstorming some things. I'm not going to share too much now, but we've got some fun ideas.
Yeah. That's good.
You'll have to
I can't
stay
wait.
tuned.
I'm no good at this wing.
Yeah.
No, that's phenomenal. I can't believe they donated that old sign too. That's
Awesome.
Yeah, they've been really, really generous and wonderful to work with.
good.
They've said wonderful things about you too.
Oh,
All right, so next we have the Children's Library Refresh Project updates.
all right. So if you go in the children's library, you'll see that the new furniture is in. Most of the painting in the main library has been completed. The pillars are going to get painted, so they're not staying the old colors. That's going to happen in November. And then our new computer carrels and the tops of our bookshelves that were getting replaced, that's probably going to happen in November when we have that space closed. It would just be a nightmare to try to coordinate all of that and still have that space open. The children's program room, we have new cabinetry in there. We are working out some issues with the sink that was installed, so hopefully we get that fixed soon, but it's really, really pretty cabinetry. It looks very out of place in the room because nothing else in that room has been touched. So it's a very interesting mishmash right now of old and new. So right now, after summer, we're really gonna focus our attention on planning for November, planning the temporary library, and just getting the new flooring is gonna be so exciting, and just moving forward on that. So that's going really, really well.
Gotta love that halfway point look.
I know.
Like, oh no.
That's all I have about that.
All right.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Next is your report.
Oh, all right. So looking at the statistics, they are continuing to follow the trends that we've been seeing in the first half of the year. We do expect circulation of digital materials continue to grow. I know that I think it was last month that I talked, or maybe the month before, that I talked about how Hoopla checkouts have gone down from 4 a month to 2. That has really not changed the usage very much. We're seeing a lot of new users. So the amount we're spending each month is actually not very different than it was before. So we'll continue to monitor that. In July, we've had some really incredible milestones so far. So we have been open to the public 14 days so far, including today in this July. And we've had over 21,000 physical checkouts, 15,515 items returned and reshelved by our staff. We had 149 new library card holders in 14 days, over 9,000 visitors. So that is just fantastic. I do feel like there are people coming into the library that maybe have never been here before, or they're just discovering the library for the first time. Maybe they're moving to the area in all these new build houses. So it's just great that we continue to see such awesome numbers. The new card holders is really, really special. I mean, that's 149 people who now have access just in the past 14 days. So I am really, really proud of the great work that the staff is doing to provide an excellent experience to our patrons. That's a lot of people, especially when they're all juggling the summer library program and all of the outdoor programs we've been doing. So they've been doing a great job, and we could not do it without them. So.
How's your staff been doing with that? I mean, those are great numbers.
Yeah, we have a staff that doesn't like to be bored, so that definitely helps.
They'd be unhappy, right?
Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, librarians don't sit around reading all day, so they are really enjoying it. The momentum is high, and they're doing a great job. So.
And just a little side note, anecdotally, I mean, I get the emails and things like that. I would give kudos to you and your staff on the program selections that you're making and the programs you're putting forth. I mean, I always find them to be very interesting programs. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, just in looking at them, I think that is a testament to you and your staff, and the growing numbers that you're getting, I think, are a direct result in a lot of that.
Oh, it's all the staff. It's not me. It's all them. They're the creative ones, so they're doing all the heavy lifting with that. But yes, we are a very program and heavy library. You know, if you look at other libraries, they'll maybe have one story time a week. You know, we have multiple story times. So our community loves programs. So we're definitely leaning into that.
You can tell there's been way more program participants. I mean, look at just from last year.
Yeah.
We're up, you know, almost 4,000.
Yes.
So that's the kind of pointing to the question I was. So these are your stats, these are the numbers you're seeing. So as a board, what's that telling you? I mean, what do these numbers indicate to you?
In terms of the amount of people we're seeing, in terms of
what does this number tell you about what's going on at the library? Is there something that we should be aware of? Is there something that these indicate to you as a director of a library that from our perspective either shows good news or areas that we might want to think about in the future so we can help in that area? And so what are these numbers showing you, and how is that going to impact what we're going to need in the future?
So certainly with the circulation, we're seeing an increase in physical circulation overall from year to year. And we're seeing a massive increase in our digital content, and the e-audiobooks, e-magazines, e-books. People want those. So when we're looking at the budget, it's really determining how much money we're going to allocate towards these things moving forward. We do have minimums to spend each year on our collection based on our population size per the county standards. So that determines a lot of it. but I will say, with the amount of growth in Menomonee Falls, I see the population continuing to grow, and therefore the budget will necessitate more funding in order to be able to continue to adhere to the county standards. And that will happen over the course of a few years, certainly, but
So does our budget get allocated by population, or does it get allocated by what trustees determine we get?
so the municipal allocation from the village, that is based on the, on a variety of reasons. They have to allocate a minimum amount in order to be exempt, for residents to be exempt from library taxation at the county
Yes.
level.
Right?
So there is a minimum. We are above that minimum at this point in terms of the allocation.
Okay.
So when you're looking at the data, I think the data tells a really important story. And so come budget time, showing the trustees that we've had so much growth within our usage is gonna be a really important story to tell. And I think they're gonna understand that. I mean, look at the amount of houses that have been built in Menomonee Falls this year alone. As more people move to Menomonee Falls, we're going to have more library users, and that in turn means we are going to need more money in order to sustain the level of service that we wish to provide the residents of Menomonee Falls.
Does the interlibrary loan numbers impact any of our service agreements? I remember we talked about that last month, about hitting certain amount ratios.
So not this interlibrary loan. So this interlibrary loan is just lending outside of the Bridges Library system to places throughout the state and sometimes in other states. The amount that we send to the amount of materials that we transit to other Bridges libraries and the amount that we receive does play a role in the very complicated equation that is county funding.
So that's, I guess, was the point of my question. So those numbers, as far as indicating that, those aren't here, but if those are concerns you have with sort of the growth in the different areas, it would be helpful to know that when you do.
Yes, certainly when the budget comes around, I'll have that information so that everybody can kind of get the full picture of what we can expect, not only of what we're going to be asking of the village, but also what we can expect to receive in from cross-county payments and also payments from Waukesha County and within Bridges Library System. Because there's other sources of revenue other than the village appropriation that do play a really important role, certainly.
And I think one of the things we talked about was staffing.
Mhm.
And according to those that you presented to us last month, we are staffed more than above of what was expected. So if that is going to need to eat, I know we talked about that and we're curious about it, but if we're needing to provide more services, that obviously benefits the delivery of that.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of thinking down the road also in budget, if we're going to have to be considering and wrestling with giving you permission for more staffing funding in the budget, it'd be good for us to know sooner than later.
Yes, definitely.
Any other questions? All right.
I have more.
Oh, okay, go ahead, sorry.
Speaking of staffing, yesterday we welcomed 4 new page 2s to our circulation department. So we had some of our pages leaving for college. They're going to be gone at the end of the summer. And then we had the good luck of promoting one of our page 2s to the technical services and reference assistant opening that we had. So we've been hard at work onboarding and welcoming our new crew. For many of them, this is their first job ever. So it's always a really fun and exciting time to show them the ropes.
Jackie, could you just, because I don't know, what is page 2?
Okay, so we have page 1s and page 2s. Page 1's primary responsibility is reshelving materials. That's their main responsibility. Of course, other duties as assigned. But our page 2s, they also reshelve materials. They, empty the book drop, things like that. But they also work at the circulation desk, helping patrons.
And are they, if I'm not allowed to ask, say I can't ask, are they community members? On your pages?
Yes, actually, yes, I believe all of them are. Yeah.
I'm not allowed to ask, just say that's.
No,
great.
I believe they all are, yeah.
That's neat to hear.
So we're also
Employing
hiring
our
local.
community members.
That is important too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic though.
Not that that was a criteria.
Right. So on August 15th, we are going to be hosting library staff from around southeastern Wisconsin. They're going to be attending a seminar here about preparing materials for circulation and best practices for that. So stickers on books, RFID tags, all that fun stuff. And then we're also going to be able to give them a behind-the-scenes tour of our circulation and tax services department. So we will be cleaning heavily for until August 15th. We have a new mobile print software that just launched yesterday called Print. So we have had a previous mobile print service, but we switched over to Print. This allows patrons to send documents to our printers from anywhere. They can be inside the library, they can be outside the library, and it has a number of new features that our previous software didn't have. So they're going to be able to select certain pages within the document to print versus just printing the whole thing. They can also now do double-sided printing. It's a much updated and easier to use service than what we had before. So I think that it's going to be really well received with patrons. And as I mentioned, I'm still working with the finance director at the village to figure out the deadline for the board-approved budget, the library board-approved budget to be submitted. And I will let you know as soon as I know if we need to hold a special meeting.
Out of curiosity, this August 15th, you're hosting outside library staff. What kind of, are we footing the bill on anything?
Nope, so
Or is
that's,
that paid for like
that's-
association or?
so that's all through Bridges Library System, and then the southeastern Wisconsin libraries all have a continuing education budget, so they take care of all of that.
Gotcha.
We're just using the room.
Are we lecturing, or are we truly just using the room? And
Yes.
they'll have it, okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say, just as another promotional tool, for Latitude, if they're providing coffee, that may be a nice avenue.
Oh, that would be a great idea. Yeah, I'll touch base with Bridges and see what their plans were, but that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. And I mean, they did that nice spread of all that for breakfast and
Yeah.
stuff too. I mean, they did a phenomenal job on it. Just another avenue to continue that partnership.
Yeah, I'll reach out and see. That's all I have.
Just want to make sure you were done.
Yeah, I'm actually done now.
All right, next we have the village trustees report, which is not here tonight, so we'll move on to the Menomonee Fall School District report.
I have several items to report, and I do apologize for my recent absences. I've had some family things to deal with my parents, so they're doing well right now, so which is good. A lot of great things going on in the school district. First of all, I want to thank our staff. Most of our staff are on summer break right now, which is great. It's a well-deserved break for our staff, for most of the staff. We do have year-round staff as well, including myself, but there's also multiple staff working summer school and all of these sorts of things. But thank you to staff for a wonderful year. Thank you to Falls Cable Access, our friends over here. Graduation was a wonderful success, especially due to their work as well, even with a drone, which was great, and fireworks at the end. But several things, the strategic plan, so the school district's strategic plan has been finalized, which is great. So now the work this summer, including right before I came into this meeting, we're working on action steps. Some of the action steps we're working on today is looking at all of our vacant property around the district that the district already owns and starting to develop a plan for that. So you're going to start hearing more about that pretty soon here, which is great. So there's a lot of different work going on now with action steps and timelines coming out of that strategic plan. So that's now approved, and now we're working on those action steps. Summer school is going really well. We had to move some things based on some of the summer projects, which is number 3, but summer school is very well. It's very full and very active throughout the district. The summer projects, there's multiple projects going on, but I'll just give you a couple big ones. We spend about $675,000 a year on general maintenance and upkeep. Over $500,000 of that is being spent this summer on the middle school roof. So any community members or anybody in the village who goes by the middle school and you see, all the guys up top with tar and all these things going on, there's quite a bit of work up there. As recently as yesterday, I was up there checking on it with our staff, and it's looking great. They're almost done. They have a couple parts at the entryway into the middle school auditorium, which is used a lot by the community in the summer, including this weekend. But then also the entry, which is now the back entry, there were some concerns about some people climbing up on the roof. That whole thing is being corrected as well. So that was a little over $500,000 in spending this summer to correct some roofing issues at the middle school. One of the other things, if you're a soccer fan, so there's always been we have a wonderful soccer stadium, but the soccer press box has always been something that needs some updating. So there's been substantial updating that soccer press box. So if you're interested in soccer, go out there and check on that. It's not quite totally done yet, but it's close enough where you will realize there's a substantial upgrade out there for that. So we're excited about that. Next thing, the Community Ed and Rec project. So just as a reminder to those present, but also those listening online, the Community Education Rec it's not a K-12 program, right? Most of our programs, vast majority of what the school district does is for students, through high school. But the Community Ed and Rec is a department of the school district of Menomonee Falls. So it's fully financed and run by the school district for non-students. So that's something that some people don't know, and I just want to get that out there. That project has been approved. If you go to our website, we're already through design stage. So we'll be adding approximately 18,000 square feet of additional space onto CE and Rec. That's a substantial build out. So if you want to see all of those pictures, just go on the website, click CE and Rec, and you'll see a lot of the pictures, at least that which is out there right now, and some of the schematics and the draw. It's really wonderful. So we're at solid walls and schematic design. So all that means in the building process is we've set the walls, and we'll be going to bid essentially before Christmas, and then there'll be a lot of work next summer. So you'll see a lot of physical work. If you go out to CE and Rec today, you'll see core drilling and some of these things going on. So that's what that's all about. The core drilling is that first part of, we're going to be doing a lot out here, including building a new gym with full pickleball access, indoor walking track. So in the winter, when there's a place to walk, there's going to be this indoor walking space for the community. And during the day access to the gym and that walking area. Because right now, for those that are familiar with our current setup, Community Ed shares a gym with Riverside right now, and will for another year. But by the time this is built, we'll have their own dedicated space, including that walking space and new rooms and all these. So we're really excited about it. Like I said, that's not something for, kindergarten through seniors. Of course, they can use it when they're not in school, but it's really for the community writ large. So we're excited about that project, which has been approved by the board. We're moving forward with that. So please go on the website and look it up if you want. Some great pictures out there, and we'll have progress pictures going up as well. So one piece I'm going to read right off my phone to make sure I'm getting all the details right. But summer is about finishing last year and getting ready for next year. So the back to school fair, and some of the parents in here are probably like, we're not ready for that yet, Mr. Munoz. Well, okay, but there's some information on the website, and we'll get this flyer out to all parents. I didn't look into it. Okay. So the 2024 Back to School Fair is going to be August 14th and August 15th. August 14th and August 15th in the Gray Gym at the high school. We piloted this approach to back to school last year, where there was all of the schools, all 6 of our schools, all the students, instead of going to their individual schools, just came to the Gray Gym. It was popular with parents, but they did want, in just some feedback surveys that we did, some adjusted times. So we did do that. So on August 14th, it's 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the back to school fair. That's also on our website. And then August 15th, the very next day, it's 8 a.m. to noon. And then we're going to take a break and then go 4 o'clock to 7 on that same day. So that's August 14th and August 15th, 2024 School District of Menomonee Falls Back to School Fair. So what's going to be going on there? Same as last year. You come in, find your school table. So all the schools will be represented there, not just the high school. So Shady Lane, Valley View, Ben Franklin, Riverside, the middle school, the high school. Everybody's going to have a space there. You'll get your picture taken, same as last year. Get your picture taken, and pay any fees or anything else like that. That can all be. It's a one-stop shop. And then in the cafeteria, which, if you know the high school, it's right next to the Gray Gym, there'll be a resource fair. So there'll be activities, clubs, athletics, CE and rec, food show. You can pay your fees for food service early. You can pick up your yearbook, parking passes, all that sort of thing. So we're excited about that. It's our second year. It went well last year. The feedback from families was we wanted some nighttime, a little bit more nighttime. See some head shaking over there from some parents. So we have a lot more nighttime spots. Just to repeat that one more time, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. on August 14th. So that's quite a span there. August 14th, 2 p.m. right through to 8 p.m. And then the next day we'll have morning times from 8 to noon, and then again 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So you can come anytime, you come anytime during that time frame. So we're excited about doing that again. Like I said, so we're ready for the start of school. I don't want to say that yet. We will be ready for the start of school. We're ready with starting our planning. We're heavy into planning for the start of school. A lot of new faces as well. I mean, not nearly as many as last year. So we're excited about, in my time here, which is about a year that I've been here, we've added about seven teachers from been before, and we're excited about that. So it's a good thing. So the whole plan is going very well. We're excited about it, and excited about the next school year.
The library will also be at the back to school fair.
Yes.
And we're gonna be signing people up for library cards there, so
Yes.
if anybody wants to get their library card, they can do it at the
Sorry, I
back
didn't
to
have my
school
glasses
fair.
on. It is on the thing there.
No, that's fine, I just had to plug it.
I just have a little flyer there.
We're very excited.
I love the continued partnership between the school and
Oh, I love that you're there signing people. I love that. That's wonderful. So,
Yeah, I think it was a good success last year. It was a pilot. We had never done it before. And so, yeah, a lot of people were a little nervous about it, including me, especially being new. I was just here a month. It's like, well, it sounds like a good idea. I've heard about other districts, and it went really well. So we're pushing real hard on the organization, and I'll be getting this flyer out to all families just via a school messenger, just so they have it. And save the date, or save one of the dates.
I appreciate the extra nighttime. Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely some feedback. The way we set it up, we had some pretty limited nighttime, or almost none, actually last year. So we were really leveraging that this year.
No, it's appreciated. So thank you for taking that into consideration.
Yes. All right, next we have the Friends report.
Thank you. So, okay, The Friends continue to move forward with Kids Fest, which is coming up in August. I actually saw it on Facebook, so that's very exciting. They will be partnering with, the dance.
Dynamite Dance
Dynamite
Studio.
Dance, yes. So very excited, still moving forward with that. So I think the big excitement is Healthful Indian Flavors with Alame Lu. It's a fundraiser on August 27th. So friends are invited. This is a friends-only event. So they have first dibs on signing up. Information is on the website. Friends have until next week to sign up, and then they're going to open it to the general public. All of you have the flyer that I handed out. You're going to see it in your files. So consider it as something fun. If we don't fill the seats, we are all welcome to sign up and take part. Looks like a really great opportunity. New business, we talked about something that's near and dear to my heart. As you know, I bring bakery every month, so the Friends are thinking about having a bake sale on Election Day in November. Another way to make money for the library, so we'll see how that goes. And those were the highlights of, So on our receipts, when we get our books from the library, there's a customer satisfaction survey. And Jackie requested, and it was approved, that there can be a $100 bonfire gift card for people taking part in that survey. It would be quarterly, they would have a drawing to get that gift card. So just to encourage patrons to participate in the customer satisfaction survey. So those are my high points.
Thank you. Next meeting is
The third, it should,
21st.
the 21st of
August 21st at 6 o'clock.
But you're gonna send that out?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And
It's
then
just tough.
we are adjourned.